It all started with a glowing baby in Qiajin, China, the first sign of these weird powers called quirks. Over time, more and more people began to be born with these abilities, and now nearly 80% of the world has some kind of quirk. Because of this, a new job popped up: heroes. These aren't just your regular vigilantes. Heroes are top-notch individuals licensed by the government, using their quirks to protect and serve society. But not all heroes play by the rules. There's another type of hero out there, the ones who don't have government backing. They work on their own, risking everything to help those in need. This is the story of those underground vigilantes who fought for justice even before Izuku Midoriya's journey began. One day, a massive villain wreaks havoc in the city, causing chaos everywhere, until All Might swoops in and takes care of everything in a flash. Then we meet our main character, Koichi Himawari, a totally average college student who's running late for his job. As he rushes through the city, he accidentally bumps into a group of tough guys. One of them, Soga Kujisaki, isn't about to let that slide. He demands an apology and wants Koichi to kneel. Koichi doesn't think twice. Life's too short to get hurt over pride, especially when he has an assignment due, so he kneels. But when Soga tries to stomp on him, Koichi uses his quirk Slide and Glide to escape smoothly. His power lets him move quickly along surfaces as long as he has 3 points of contact. But let's be real, he's not exactly fast. His top speed is more like a leisurely bike ride. While making his getaway, Koichi runs into a self-proclaimed idol performing on the street. Her name is Pop Step. There's a big crowd, but Koichi isn't impressed by her singing. Plus, it's hard to see what she really looks like under all that makeup. Suddenly, she jumps high into the air and sparkles like a gem. For a moment, Koichi wishes he had a jumping quirk like hers. Then he remembers, oh no, he's late for work. As he runs, he thinks about how the world admires those who rise above, like Pop Step, but people like him, who need to stay low to use their quirk, often get looked down on, literally. Lost in thought, Koichi slips on a puddle and faceplants, feeling how unfair life can be. He finally makes it to his convenience store job, where his boss immediately yells at him for being late and says he'll cut his pay. Not surprising, Koichi's used to it. Just when he thinks things can't get worse, the same 3 thugs from earlier show up in the store. They drag him into a dark alley. Soga pins him against a wall and shows off his quirk, Spike, a power that makes you feel intense stabbing pain. Then, all 3 thugs start laying into Koichi. They hit him hard, and he feels every punch. Bruised and worn out, Koichi limps home, wondering why no one, especially the cops, ever steps in to deal with punks like them. Frustrated, he decides to take matters into his own hands that night. Back at his place, he puts on a special suit and decides to use his quirk without worrying about the law anymore. He just wants to feel like a real hero. While wandering the streets, he spots 2 women walking and figures he might as well patrol. He picks up a dropped item and hands it back to one of them. Then, he helps a woman with green hair find the train station and even guides a group of tipsy salarymen before they wander off somewhere they shouldn't. A few people start to recognize him as Nice Guy, a nickname that makes him feel genuinely proud. Koichi decides to keep this up, helping out in small ways. Later, feeling thirsty and exhausted, he finds himself in a dark alley where a mysterious girl offers him a bottle of water. He's too tired to question it, until he realizes she just appeared out of nowhere. It's Pop Step, the last person he expected to see. She mentions that she's noticed him out here helping people and doing his thing. She calls him Spoon Kid, which Koichi quickly corrects in his mind. Thinking she's just teasing him, he starts to walk away, but she keeps talking, asking if his sweater is a cosplay of All Might. Koichi denies it, explaining that All Might stands for what it means to be truly helpful. Before leaving, he warns her to be careful. If she goes too far with her idol stuff, the police might catch her. This clearly annoys her. She tells him it's not a game, it's serious to her. Right then, she raises her hand and accidentally slaps Koichi in the face. Soga, lurking just behind Pop Step, suddenly shoves her against the wall, exposing her outfit. One of the thugs recognizes her right away, laughing and calling her that cringy girl from the internet. They start mocking her flashy makeup, questioning if she's trying to be a hero or a villain. With laughter, they reach for her clothes, eager to rip them off and snap photos for social media. That's when Koichi decides to step in, trying to talk them down. Of course, it doesn't work. He stands his ground, but Soga shoots him a menacing look, making Koichi instinctively back off. Pop Step begins to cry as they mess up her makeup, and Koichi feels frozen in place. But then he remembers he's the kind of guy who can't just ignore someone in trouble. That's why he's known as Nice Guy. Koichi knows he's not a fighter. He's not even the toughest person in his own apartment, but he figures he can at least try to catch them off guard. Without wasting any time, he activates his quirk, Slide and Glide, aiming to knock one of the thugs down. Unfortunately, he's so slow that it barely even moves the guy. The thug grabs him easily, and since Koichi is light, he slams him into the ground like it's nothing. Soga approaches, recognizing him under the mask. He sneers, calling Koichi a pathetic wannabe hero, and pulls out a weapon, pointing it right at Koichi's face. Panic sets in for Koichi. This has gone way too far. Soga threatens him, saying they're not just going to rough him up again. They're going to break him and trash the convenience store he works at. And while they're at it, they'll strip Pop Step and livestream the whole thing to teach him a lesson. Pop Step keeps struggling, threatening to call the cops, but the thugs just laugh, saying she'd be better off calling a real hero like All Might. Feeling completely powerless, Koichi steps back. He knows that a hero like All Might isn't going to show up every time someone's in trouble. No matter how much you wish for it, he's not going to swoop in to save the day. But then, out of nowhere, someone actually crashes down from the sky. A guy lands in a pile of garbage bags, completely unfazed by the mess. As he stands up, he casually mentions that he heard someone say All Might's name. He adds that All Might isn't coming, but he is. He even gives a little tip about how garbage piles make good crash pads to avoid injuries. Everyone in the alley stares in shock as the guy dusts himself off and immediately punches Soga, sending him flying. The other two thugs freak out, demanding to know who he is and what he's doing there. The guy calmly introduces himself as Knuckle Duster and says he's there to clean up the trash. Before the thugs can react, he takes them down one by one, checks their tongues for something who knows what, and tosses them aside like old garbage. Pop Step collapses to her knees, finally free from her captors. Koichi, feeling the urge to sneak away from the chaos, is caught off guard when Knuckle Duster calls out to him. He freezes and quickly insists he has nothing to do with those thugs. To his surprise, Knuckle Duster says he sees potential in him. He mentions needing help with his work and thinks Koichi might be a good fit. Koichi instantly rejects the idea, insisting he's not interested in that kind of life and that it's better if he just goes home. But Knuckle Duster calls him a liar, making it clear he knows Koichi wants more than just an ordinary life. Koichi admits he's always looked up to All Might and has a strong urge to help people, so deep down, he can't deny that he's interested in being a hero. But he points out that with his weak quirk, there's no way he could ever get a professional hero license. The guy steps closer, giving him a sharp, intense look. He insists that having a powerful quirk or an official license doesn't really matter in the end. What counts is whether someone is willing to take action when something needs to be done. That's the only question a true hero needs to answer. Even though the guy's words are passionate and inspiring, Koichi can't shake the fact that this dude clearly doesn't have a license himself. Before Koichi can say anything, Pop Step starts screaming for help. Soga has her in a tight grip and is threatening to hurt her with his quirk. The strange man calmly tells her to give up, reassuring her that he'll only use his quirk called Facebreaker, which should make her feel better. In that moment, Koichi remembers what the man said earlier. He realizes he can't just stand by and do nothing. With that thought in mind, he rushes towards Soga to stop him. Pop Step uses her quirk to break free, and the strange man finishes Soga off with a powerful punch, sending him crashing into a pile of trash. He then turns to Koichi and says he'll show him how satisfying being a hero can be. According to him, nothing feels better than taking down villains. However, instead of feeling inspired, Koichi is genuinely scared. He starts to think that this guy might be even more dangerous than the villains themselves. Yet, despite his fears, he finds himself following the man home. Once they arrive, the man tells Koichi to start calling him Master. Koichi flatly refuses and says he'd rather he leave, but the man ignores him completely and makes himself comfortable. He even checks Koichi's fridge, pulls out some beer cans, and scolds him for being too young to drink. That's when Koichi realizes this guy doesn't listen to anything he says. Meanwhile, the beaten-up thugs from earlier crawl out of the alley, filled with anger toward Koichi and the strange man. But before they can get far, a mysterious figure approaches them. Without introducing himself, he points out their injuries and offers them some medicine he claims they need. Back at Koichi's place, the man finally reveals his mission. He's investigating a dangerous new drug going around the city called Trigger. For those who don't know, trigger is a substance that messes with a person's ability to think clearly while giving a huge boost to their quirk. In short, it turns regular people into dangerous villains. The man explains that if they don't do something, the villains will start popping up everywhere. Koichi suggests they leave it to the heroes and the police, but the man disagrees, saying that trigger users can show up unexpectedly in crowded places, making it hard for the police and pro-heroes to keep up. That's where people like him come in. He lays out their plan. They'll stop anyone who looks suspicious and check their tongues, since a side effect of trigger is that the user's tongue turns black. If they see that, they'll know they've found someone using the drug. He adds that he plans to punch any black-tongued suspect right away, interrogate them for info, and work his way up the chain to shut the operation down. Koichi isn't convinced. He questions whether the man really plans to attack people without proof, pointing out how dangerous and illegal that could be. The man doesn't flinch. He insists that it's better to stop them before they can.